I never imagined heartbreak could taste this bitter, especially when it was my own fault. Or maybe it was his fault. Or maybe, in the cruelest twist of all, it was fate laughing at both of us. The first time I saw him properly, not just as my best friend's older brother but as a person, my chest clenched in a way that made no sense. His laugh was careless, spilling across the backyard barbecue, and my plan-me meticulously calculated, vengeance-driven plan shivered under the weight of his grin. Yes, I had been dating him not for love, not for anything sweet or genuine. I had been dating him because my best friend had crushed me first, because I wanted to watch him squirm. Revenge was supposed to taste sweet, but standing there, I realized I might have bitten off more than I could chew. It started 2 months ago, in that endless cycle of small-town boredom. I hated feeling invisible, and Shemi best friend had her claws in my happiness before I even knew it. He was the perfect weapon, her brother untouchable and charming, a boy I barely knew except in passing, yet suddenly painfully familiar. The first text I sent him was just casual, a joke about a local diner. He responded within minutes, his words warm, teasing, unexpectedly gentle. And just like that, the plan began to breathe life. Our first date felt like rehearsing lines in a play I never wanted to perform. I smiled, laughed at things that weren't funny, and nodded like a puppet on strings. He noticed. Of course, he noticed. There was a softness in his eyes that made my chest-a dangerous, unfamiliar ache. I caught him staring once, quick and fleeting, like he knew more than he should. I laughed it off, but every laugh felt hollow. We walked the streets of my small town at night, streetlights painting shadows on the pavement, leaves crunching under our shoes. He talked about his dreams, how he wanted to escape, how he hated the idea of being stuck here forever, working in a corporate office he didn't care about. I nodded along, playing the part of a girlfriend, but my heart wanted to betray me. I was starting to see him not as a tool of vengeance, but as someone worth more than my petty revenge. It was the way he listened, really listened, that got me. Not just hearing words but understanding the spaces between them, the silences that spoke louder than any sentence. And in those silences, I caught glimpses of myself, the part one had buried under hurt and strategy, the part that wanted to believe in something pure, something dangerous yet exhilarating. One night, we sat on the hood of his car, parked near the edge of the river that cut through town. The water glinted under the moonlight, a ribbon of silver, and for a moment, the world narrowed to just him and me. I wanted to pull back, to remind myself why I was here, but my hands found his anyway. He didn't pull away. Instead, his fingers twined with mine, tentative but steady, a silent confession that spoke louder than anything I could say. "I never thought this would happen," he murmured, voice low, brushing against my ear. The warmth of it made my stomach twist in a way that had nothing to do with revenge. Me neither," I admitted, my voice hoarse. My thumb traced circles over his knuckles, memorizing the softness of him. I wanted to tell him the truth, all of it, but the words died in my throat. Days blurred together after that, each one sharper than the last. I wanted to hate him for the way he made my heart feel too heavy. But love is not logical, and I was learning that the hard way. Our conversations grew longer, our silences more intimate. I found myself waiting for his texts, memorizing the curve of his smile, the tilt of his head, the subtle way he leaned in when he laughed. I realized then that revenge had become irrelevant. The problem was, he didn't know my original intent. He believed in the version of me I had created, the version designed to hurt, to entertain my petty revenge fantasies. And every time he looked at me with that trust, I felt like a criminal in my own skin. My chest ached, my hands shook, and my mind screamed. I'm falling for him, and it's too late to stop. Days passed in a blur, the line between pretense and reality disappearing with every stolen glance and whispered joke. I had convinced myself that the risk was worth it, that the thrill of his attention outweighed the guilt gnawing at my chest. But then came the night I couldn't avoid it anymore, the night my best friend came to town unexpectedly, and everything I had built with him felt like it might collapse. I watched him from across the room, the warmth of his smile lighting up a space I had once thought cold. She asked questions, casual at first, probing for information, laughing at jokes I didn't find funny, and my heart raced with panic. I could feel the walls of the plan I had built trembling. I wanted to disappear, to melt into the shadows, but my hand found his under the table. He squeezed it gently, grounding me. That simple gesture, quiet, reassuring, was more powerful than any words I could muster. Later, alone in the quiet of his car, we sat shoulder to shoulder, the tension from the evening still thick in the air. I wanted to tell him everything, the manipulation, the initial lies, the revenge, but fear kept my lips sealed. Instead, I let the silence speak, letting my fingers trace the contours of his hand. His thumb brushed over mine, patient, understanding, and I realized he already knew more than I had admitted. "I like you," he said softly, eyes never leaving mine. His voice trembled just slightly, vulnerable, and my chest ached with the intensity of it. Not like anyone else. "You." My heart lurched. I swallowed hard, tears prickling at the corners of my eyes. "I like you too," I whispered, voice breaking. The words finally unshackled from months of guilt and confusion. "I think I've liked you from the start. But I was stupid, and He cut me off with a laugh. Not mocking but warm, infectious, that made the tension between us dissolve instantly. "Stop apologizing. I get it. We were idiots, both of us. But it doesn't matter now." And just like that, the walls fell. I leaned into him, our foreheads touching, breaths mingling in the small space of his car. The world outside, the gossip, the betrayals, the revenge plots faded into nothingness. It was just him and me, and for the first time I didn't feel like I was acting or pretending. I felt seen. The weeks that followed were delicate, a dance of discovery. We explored the town together, hand in hand, smiling at the memories of our awkward beginnings. We talked late into the night about dreams, fears, and what-ifs, each conversation peeling back the layers of pretense to reveal the raw, honest selves beneath. I learned the rhythm of his laughter, the way his eyes lit up when he talked about something he loved, the subtle twitch of his smile when he was nervous. One chilly evening, we found ourselves at the old pier, the water reflecting the streaks of twilight. I shivered slightly, and he draped his jacket over my shoulders without a word. The gesture was simple, intimate, and it settled something deep in my chest. I realized then that love wasn't always dramatic or explosive. Sometimes, it was the quiet gestures, the small, unspoken assurances that carried the most weight. "I never want to go back to the way things were," I admitted, staring at the horizon. The sky was streaked with orange and pink, a painting we could never capture fully in photographs or memory. "I want the susto be real. No games, no revenge, just you and me." He smiled, leaning his head against mine. "Me too," he whispered. "I think we've both learned what's important, and I don't care what anyone else thinks." From that moment, our relationship blossomed, not in grand, sweeping gestures but in the everyday intimacy of shared meals, late-night drives, and quiet laughter echoing through empty streets. We were two young men navigating the complexities of love and trust, sometimes stumbling, sometimes soaring, but always together. It wasn't always easy. There were moments when doubt crept in, when memories of the past and mistakes made us question our worthiness of each other. But every time we chose honesty, chose vulnerability, chose to face the world side by side. The revenge that had started it all became irrelevant, a distant shadow eclipsed by the brightness of what we had found in each other. By the time spring rolled around, the town itself seemed to celebrate our love, the blossoms on the trees, the sun casting a golden glow over familiar streets, the laughter of neighbors who had once doubted us now warm and accepting. One afternoon, we sat on the hood of his car by the river again, the same place where I had first felt the dangerous pull of his hand. This time, there was no fear, no guilt, only certainty and quiet joy. "I love you," he said simply, eyes reflecting the sunlight dancing across the water. "I love you too," I replied, the words ringing true in a way they never had before. No pretense, no games, just raw, unfiltered truth. And for the first time, I understood that love, real, enduring love, wasn't about revenge, not about schemes or punishment. It was about courage, about facing the truth, and about opening your heart even when it was terrifying. We watched the river together, our fingers entwined, hearts beating in synchrony, and for once, the world felt right. The past had lost its grip, the pain had faded, and the future bright, uncertain, and beautiful stretched out before us. Together, we had discovered something worth more than any revenge, any hurt, any fleeting triumph. We had discovered each other. And in that quiet moment, with the sun setting behind us and the town softly alive around us, I realized that my heart had always known the truth. It had always belonged to him. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.